Warriors Unite! Back with another episode of Vigor Warriors 2 and the 1% Club. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope you guys are conquesting yourselves and thereby conquesting things around you, and hope you guys are following God's purposes and doing those things that kind of make yourself the most highest value male that you can become. And obviously to our females, the highest value females you can become. All right, so we're going to do some shout outs here, and we'll talk about a topic that one of our viewers, the Burger King, brought up the other day, and I want to kind of talk about it. It's a very interesting type of topic, but we'll talk about it in a second. So, some shout outs here. Planetworld, thank you, my friend. Father with Dan, I think it is. Thank you, my friend. Or Father with Dan. Youssef Nachit, thank you, my friend. King K, 1 year, congratulations, keep it up. None, N-O-N-E, thank you, my friend. Alvin, long-time listener, thank you, and a viewer, thank you. Voice 2 Skull, thank you, another one. Skazany from Poland, welcome, my friend, thank you. 10 good questions. Ben from Australia, thank you. And we'll stop right there. All right, so thank you guys for your comments. I appreciate those, and thank you guys for your donations, and thank you guys for all the topics and ideas. We have a lot of people who've kind of put in their ideas and talked about different things, and I'll bring some of those topics up as we go along. All right, so the topic we're going to talk about, and let me see if I can get my toe, I have a little bit of shadow here. We're going to talk about emotional stability. Why emotional stability is the most attractive tool you have, and why it presents the most opportunities to attract opportunities, not only from females, but for life itself while you're doing semen retention. So let's kind of talk about this a little bit and kind of take a couple steps back as well and kind of talk about the whole idea we're looking at here. All right, so we have a lot of common assumptions we've had, and Burger King brought this up in his email to me, and I posted something on our website, on our site as well, and you can kind of see the post. The idea that we talk about here, and this misnomer we have, is that males should be trying to get the validation from females. This goes back to the old Disney model of the prince and princess, that the prince has to be chosen by the princess, and all these things have to happen when after the male proves themselves and gains validation from the female. Then the female can pick that male, and the male is happy. This has been this model for a long time. It's really kind of becoming, really out of whack in many ways. And really the bottom line is, if you look at the thing from a logical standpoint, women, the purpose women have, for the most part, is to procreate children. They're the ones that can have children. So it makes perfect sense. They're the ones looking for males to procreate with. And so it's not just the males looking for the females. It really is the females looking for the males. It just doesn't seem that way because society, the way it is turning it around and giving the emphasis to males to somehow have to prove themselves to females. Males don't have to prove themselves to anyone. You guys have that energy that can produce a child. Females know this. And they really sense this when you're on retention, because you can control yourself. So no matter if you have a lot of money, no matter if you have a six-pack of abs and you look tremendous, no matter if you're 20 years old, 30 years old, 40, 50, 60 years old, all those things could get attention for you at the beginning. You have money, you have houses, all that stuff. They will attract women. They will attract opportunity. But what keeps women there and real attraction to the point where they're desiring you, they want to be with you, and opportunities looking for you, comes from the idea of emotional stability. Being in emotional control. And Burger King brought this out in his description of a relationship he had. When you're talking about the idea is that many women, it's important for them, obviously, to see all these other things that a man can provide and all those things, and that will attract them. But women want to feel safe, comfortable. They don't want a male that's going to be angry all the time, always lose their composure. That person's never calm. They never can handle situations. They're always breaking up. They're always problems they're having when situations go bad. Now, this I struggled with myself for many, many years. It's only since I've been on this long-term retention that I've had some success with this. I grew up and I played football in high school and in college, and you have that mentality, almost like when you're in the army and you're taught how to kill people. You have that anger that you have to build up inside of yourself, and you get that anger to hit people on the football field, right? And so that's not something to let go of, even though I'm far removed from that many, many years ago. You still have that passion, you want to call it, but it's turned into anger and other things. And so this is why you see a lot of people, a lot of men who let out their emotions by fighting and all kinds of different things like that. But that is not what people want to see. Not when you're in business, not when you're in relationships with women or people in general. They want to see a person who has got a calm demeanor, a person who is relaxed, who can kind of blow off things. It doesn't affect them very much, and they can handle situations. Carl Jung, the psychologist, and Kendler talk about Peter Kendler. The book, by the way, I think someone asked about this, is the Fountain of Youth. There's many versions out there, but it's called The Fountain of Youth by Peter Kendler. And I would recommend that book. I always make a mention of it. It helped me since 1998 kind of get back into realizing the energy that I had and the whole idea about energy. So I definitely will show it to you at one point or another, maybe in another video, but that's the book we're kind of talking about. But Jung and Kendler and Freud and a lot of these people talked about the fact that your most attractiveness is not the money, it's not the looks, all those things, even though they can make a difference. It's your presence. The presence of being calm, no matter what's happening around you, being that calm presence that a woman or other people can look at and say, this guy is in control of themselves. If you're in control yourself, now you control things around you. This is why I say if you can conquest yourself, you conquest things around you. Why? Because we're in a life energy of attraction. We're a magnet. If you're depleting all the time, once a week or whatever it might be, you're going to attract people to you that deplete or want to deplete you more. Situations that want to deplete you more, stressful situations, all those will be attracted to you because they're sensing and you're communicating, whether it's verbally, non-verbally, you're communicating a lack. You're not at full strength. You're depleting all the time. People see that. So the amount of respect for you get will be a lot less. And those of you who've been on streaks, a lot of you guys that watch the channel, as time goes on, you build confidence in yourself, more clarity. You feel different about yourself. You also gain a lot more respect, and you gain attractiveness. All these things occur. But for women especially, they need to know that your presence is strong enough to handle a situation. Many women really don't want to take all the responsibility of everything on for themselves. They need a man who's going to be responsible. They become attracted to that. Now, obviously, males, as we look at females, we're attracted to the form of the female, right? The females look at it a lot differently, and this goes back to the caveman days. Well, the female just is not as strong physically as the male, and they have to worry about survival. So when a woman, ask questions, when they are challenging you, or it looks like they're just kind of making up fights, all kinds of stuff, they're doing it to see how you're reacting. What is your reaction? And it took me a long time to figure this out. This is not something that's cruel. Didn't even break up with people for cruel. It's not being cruel. It's a biological function that females have to go with to say, in my survival, how can I find the best male possible that's going to have this emotional stability? So you may be doing everything else right. You may be saying, okay, I'm going to try to treat my girlfriend, my wife the best way I can. But what ends up happening is that even though you do that, if you don't have that emotional stability, and women will test you because of the reason I just said, not because they're evil, things like that. It's mainly because of a biological nature they have to make sure that they're with a person who has this emotional stability that's going to be handling situations. If they can't handle drama, what are they going to do in a regular situation where it's a very stressful situation? This is how women think. And I've interviewed many women and talked to many women over the years, and I've kind of figured this out in a hard way in a lot of ways. Once you end up having this, and you command your presence, command this, and you're communicating that you can control yourself, then other people respect you. And now you have control of a lot of the other situations. And with women, they see this in your eyes. They could look at you. They know that you're in command now, that your presence, you're able to control yourself. You're not going to fly off the handle. You're not going to get upset if they have certain drama going on, or you're not going to involve your life in trying to get their validation, their applause. You're not trying to get their attention to you. You don't care about the attention. You don't care about the approval of women or anybody else in your life. Once you're able to let that go, and I realize I'm 64, and a lot of you guys are a lot younger, and this took me a lot of years to get to this point. Obviously, the reason I'm doing this is try to get you guys to the point where you can learn some of this earlier and not make the same mistakes that I did. And so this is why I say this now. But at 64, I'm able to go ahead now finally and say I don't really give a care what people think. Now, I think it's important to understand that we all have some of this within ourselves. But the less you have of that, the more you can be yourself, and the more you become in presence, who you really are. Go back to Jung, who I always like to reference along with Kendler, talking about the idea of individualization, which means you don't really know your true self. We repress it. We hide it. Again, in these situations, we're not coming out to who we are. We're afraid of the rejection. We're afraid of who we are. So we make up these people that we are to try to impress other people. And we do this through our whole life. If you're able to understand this well enough and you catch yourself and you're able to revert back and you start saying, I don't care about rejection anymore, you're actually going to get better results. It's kind of more of a law of psychology. You're getting away from, you're not as desperate. You're not as someone who needs validation. Therefore, you get more validation. Same thing with money. If you're not so desperate for money, trying to get money, which you put so much pressure on yourself with, money comes easier. And it always the same with tendency. If you want, you have a girlfriend, wife, woman, if she leaves, let her go. Because if you pressure her more, it's going to make it harder. Let it go. She has time to think about it. She may come back, wondering what's happening. We are so programmed as males to chase females around. And I did that for years as well. Before I got married, all that kind of stuff. It's easy to get into that pattern, but it's wrong. What's wrong with it is the model and the thinking. You are the prize. And the reason you're the prize is because women, if they want to have children, which is one of the purposes in a society, they've got to come out and look for men. So what are they doing? In their 20s, they're prime in their life, right? How they look. They look attractive, seductive, because they want to have the children with males. All right? And so this is where all the gamesmanship, all this plays out. The whole idea, bud, is that the woman is chasing the man as much as the man is chasing the woman. It doesn't look like that, because women are very good at being mysterious and covering it up and not really showing their hand. But really what females are doing is they're picking out the best male they can find to have children with, because that's just the course of life that we see. Males have that energy they need to have children. And I know you talk about the technology and test tube babies and all this kind of stuff, but things really don't change to that point. Males and females are still males and females, and you're going to see this happening over and over again. But the females are concerned because they cannot find males who have this emotional stability. We've had this society where back when I was younger, they started going on this idea that men need to be more sensitive, right? Back from the 50s and 60s, and my dad really wasn't all that sensitive to things, right? He got a little more sensitive, but this was a negative thing if males had no sensitivity, right? And I think we had sensitivity training and all this kind of stuff we went through. But what's happened is that as you do this more, males become a lot more feminine because they become too sensitive. And it's okay to have empathy once in a while, no problem with that as a male. But it should not dictate your life. You should not be in this feminine stage, feminine energy, which a lot of males I see, especially young males, go into. So as time goes on, they become that way. And as a result of that, females who basically still have the need to have family and kids and things like that, they basically are on their own, either single parents now or maybe looking for somebody. They can't find somebody. They're out there working, and they've been given that bill of goods as well, that, feminism was going out and getting a job, being a boss lady, all these things would attract men. Well, it doesn't. It's actually doing the opposite. Because what men want and what women really want down deep is the old traditional relationship. They may not say that. They may be fighting it all the time. They may not recognize it, but it hits them at some point, and then it's too late for a lot of people. A lot of people in their 30s and 40s, they don't recognize it, and even if they do, it's hard to go overcome all these experiences of releasing energy and sleeping with people and all that kind of stuff to have a solid, trusting relationship, because they've believed all this brainwashing, males and females, about what really should be relationships. And so when you look at this is why females have created, situations where you have to have the MGTOW movement, all kinds of things going on where males are going their own way, and basically not dealing with that because females think they're the prize. And the issue, guys, is that they're not the prize. The males, they're the prize in some ways as well, but they're both prize. But it's a mutual type of thing. You need to have both to have a child. So you can't have one without the other, especially in the old-fashioned way. And so the thing is as you look at this is one of the problems that males have, because they've been into this model of this Disney model. And really the reality is the opposite. Females have to look for a solid male. Now what they're looking for, again, not only the security part, and yes, working hard, having goals, all those things make a difference in your potential, things like that, and that's important for males to have. That will attract females to some level. But what keeps a female, in my opinion, this is my opinion, is that emotional stability. The fact that your presence is so strong in a situation, you walk in a room, people notice you, they notice you when you have eye contact with them, that you're a strong individual, and that you're not going to be fazed by women, drama, things like that. You're going to keep moving ahead to the goals and things you want to achieve. And women will build a lot more respect. Men will respect you. Now, some men will not like you, but they will also respect and fear you in a certain way, because that's what they sense. They sense a man who has self-control. And in this society of overindulgence in gambling and booze and drugs and sex and all kinds of stuff, you see all the opposites. And this is why men are easily manipulated, because of lust and all the things we're talking about here. If you can learn how to control yourselves, and the first step of that is retention, retaining your energy. If you can retain your energy, that's a good start to the situation in which now you're building good habits, and now you're gaining more respect, and you're becoming a lot more attractive, and so the opportunities will come to you. It could be women, it could be opportunities with jobs, with other types of relationships and business deals, all kinds of stuff around you will now flow to you because people sense that you're a man of higher integrity. You can control yourself. You're not just going to go ahead and sleep with someone when they take their clothes off. And I realize that's not an easy thing to do, but if you have no lust, you can look at women like skin and bones. You can look at them any way you want to, but you're not going to be lusting after them. And with men hanging, their tongues hanging out, chasing women around, this is what most men are doing in one form or another. And women know that. And women know that they have the advantage. But if they see a man who has control, self-control, they immediately gain respect, and now they do the chasing in many ways. And what ends up happening then is that you have to then decide, again, just like in a job situation, what am I going to do with this situation? Is this something that's going to benefit me for the long run? Or is it something I'm just going to look at as a nice thing, a compliment, and move on? Okay? I mean, if you're looking for a relationship, perfect. If you have a relationship already, whether you're married or not, then it's a nice compliment to have. It's nice that people recognize you. You know what you're doing is working because you have that type of thing. Same thing with job situation. It may be a job offer you're interested in. Great, take it and move ahead. If not, then it's also a nice thing saying, okay, I'm doing something right again because I'm getting all these opportunities. The more you can control yourself, the more you control things around you, and that's the key. So again, Burger King, I know the situation will continue getting better and better, my friend, each time. We all learn from experiences, and that's what I got to say a little bit too, guys. We all learn. I mean, I've had many, many experiences the hard way, learning about trying to, working with companies, working with conflict management, anger management, working in relationships with women, all kinds of stuff. You really have to kind of a lot trial and error. There's not like a manual and book on this stuff, especially when it comes to retention. And just this whole ancient type of thing that's been around a long time with brahmacharya and celibacy and things like that. Those are the types of things that we're not taught and learned. So that's the kind of thing that we have to kind of look at and say, okay, how can I benefit me from this type of thing? All right, guys. So anyway, let me finish it up. I can't hear him. Just had a peanut butter sandwich, so I think it's in my throat a little bit here. Let me go ahead and say two things again, guys. The main thing with this thing, but is that stability is important to understand. If you don't have that stability and you can't deal with situations and you fly off the handle, you get angry. Try to look at situations by taking some deep breaths, by looking at your purpose and looking at situations and not taking things so seriously. That can help you when it comes to being in control of yourself. Learn to control yourself. Retention will help, and keeping your energy will help. Obviously, exercising and other things will help as well, reducing stress. But it's also a mental thing. When you see some situation, you could fly off the handle, think about it, take some deep breaths, and stop, and try to just let it go. You don't have to always respond either. When somebody asks you something, you don't feel like saying something, don't. This is one of the ways to start controlling yourself so that you don't have to respond to what people are saying and doing. So, okay, guys, hope this helped. Thank you, Burger King. I know things will keep going on this, keep going ahead, and keep battling on. So, two things I always leave with you guys. Have a good evening here. First of all, every day is a new day to a great warrior. Each one of you guys is great warriors, and I appreciate you guys, each one of you. And two, we've got to always continue to battle because the devil, evil one, always going to present things, ideas that can mess with us, and we have to always continue to have our head plate on, our helmet, our chest plate, our armor, because this is a continual war, and we got to continue to fight it each day. And so I'm going to raise the clarion again and say, battle on! Take care, guys. Have a great night.